Hello, I'm VX Toycat and welcome back to another world destruction video. Today I have a follow-up to one I made about a year ago where I worked out exactly how long it would take to destroy an entire 360 or PS3 sized world. Even though they're only 864 by 864 blocks, it still takes a monumentally long time, and it got me curious, as well as a lot of you curious, how long would it take to destroy an entire PC sized world in Minecraft. So just bear in mind that even though the PC sized world is functionally infinite, it does have world borders at 30 million blocks in each direction, which means we can work out exactly how long it's going to take to destroy an entire PC-sized world in survival by hand in Minecraft. Hopefully you do all enjoy today's video. If you do like it, please do like it and let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like this kind of crazy stuff that's kind of in-depth and stuff. But yeah, let's get straight into it, shall we? By explaining two things. First of all, the fact that the background gameplay will all make sense later. It's going to be part of a scale thing. But second of all, let's explain the second thing that needs to be explained, which is to do with chunks. So bear in mind we're going to be talking about an average chunk quite a bit here. This is because the Minecraft world is divided itself into, lots and lots of chunks. That's what run distance is based on and stuff like that. And basically by using an average chunk, even though this isn't going to be any specific chunk, it's going to be the aggregate of all of the stuff, and it's going to make sense, especially on scales this big. Because bear in mind that a PC-sized world, if it goes 30 million blocks in each direction, that means it's 60 million by 60 million blocks long, which means there is 3.75 million of these chunks in each direction, and then it squares and it gets really crazy. Just keep that in mind as we go forward, because this is an average chunk that averages all of those. So yeah, let's talk about an average chunk. Again, if you don't know what chunk is, it is a 16 by 16 by 256 area, like that, basically 16 by 16 area that goes all the way up to sky and all the way down to bedrock, and most of it consists of air. What we're going to be talking about mostly though is the stuff that's not air, because you can't really get rid of air blocks, but what you can do is you can get rid of all the other blocks. So we're going to assume all the other blocks have an average height of about 75, because the average in a normal place is 64, 65, 66, but because the PC does have higher hills than the console, and because if we work out, all the ravines and stuff, I think about 75 average height is going to sound about right, which gives us 19,200 blocks per chunk on average. Again, some chunks can be extreme hills where there's more like 30,000. Some chunks can be a lot lower where there's even less, but just keep that in mind. That is an average, and all this is going to be averages too, because we actually have an average number of ores by height graph here. So this is calculated based on millions of chunks, so it's a pretty good accurate place for us to start, and it shows us at each height roughly how much of each ore spawns, which means by using this from 0 to 75, which we're doing here, we can actually work out roughly on average what we're looking at for each of these blocks. So for instance, if you look at coal, it has a spawn rate of about 1.05% on average, but then has a massive drop-off between 60 and 70, which means we can assume roughly 1% of all blocks in our little sample size chunk are going to be coal, or because it's up 19,200 blocks, there's going to be 192 coal blocks. We can do the same with iron ore. If you see iron ore there, it's about 0.6% the entire time. That means we can assume roughly 0.6% of the blocks in the chunk are going to be iron ore. Again, we're going to round up a little bit here, and they'll come in later. So that gives us 115 iron blocks, or some other stuff that we'll get into later. But yeah, that's that right there. Then if you look at redstone, it's at 0.8%, but only for a little bit of the thing. Again, I'll assume from that 0.15% are going to be redstone, which is 29 of the redstone blocks. Then we look at gold, which is even less than that, and it's in a very small chunk too, which is about 0.1%. For about half the height, which then gives us about 0.05% of it being gold ore. Then we've got something we can work out from wiki pages: 3 blocks of lapis lazuli and 3 blocks of diamonds per chunk. That's a fact. It's like 3.147 diamonds per chunk. Let's just assume 3 diamonds per chunk, 3 blocks of lapis per chunk, and then let's also assume there's going to be 3.29% of gravel, because that's roughly what it is. Again, according to the wiki, we can trust the wiki because it's based on millions of chunks. So with that said, that means we can now work out the number of each of these blocks, which will be on screen, but at 633 gravel, it's going to be 192 coal, etc, etc, etc. But we're still looking at a lot of blocks, right? There's not just stone and then all of these blocks in the chunk. There's quite a few other ones we're missing. So we're going to cover the major ones here. First of all, we'll talk about dirt. Dirt is actually going to be a pretty significant one. We're going to assume that dirt is the first 4 layers mostly, but because dirt also spawns underground, dirt's going to be the top 6 layers of our chunk, because that's roughly what we're going to need to do right there. So that means 1,536 of these blocks are going to be dirt blocks. But what about all the other blocks? There's lava, there's water, there's random wood, there's all this other stuff. So first of all, let's just discount blocks on the surface, because they're going to spawn so infrequently compared to this other stuff that it really isn't even worth considering. You can burn down a forest and it just does itself anyway, so let's not assume the wood blocks. But what we do need to assume is the water, the lava, which we're going to replace with stone for this example. So depending on how fast you do it, you need to either add a little bit of time to replace your entire oceans and lava bits with stone, or remove a little bit, because you can actually get rid of a lot of water at the same time using sponges. So just keep that in mind. We're going to assume that it's all stone for now, just because 1, it's easy to calculate, but also 2, you replace it with stone if you want to get rid of it the fastest way, which is is what we're trying to do here. So, yeah, that's all the lava and water. And again, this is all going to be stone-based blocks for the rest, because although there is a lot of granite, there's a lot of andesite, diorite, just this other stuff, we're going to assume that's all stone because it all takes the same amount of time to mine, and it all spawns together in the same places anyway. So now we know exactly what's in our average chunk. Again, it's quite an average chunk here. We can actually work out the amount of time it takes to destroy each of these blocks we have. So we're going to start with, the simplest one, the diamonds. There's 3 diamonds per chunk. That's just 1.8 seconds. You mine those, it's really easy, and don't you feel good about yourself? You got a new diamond pickaxe from that. We're also going to talk about the 3 lapis, which again, is going to be 1.8 seconds, because funnily enough, if you look at this big pickaxe graph that shows us all this stuff, you can actually see that most of the ores take the exact same amount of time, which is why we overestimated the tiniest bit of these, because when, emerald ore does spawn, or when these ores spawn more naturally for some reason, it's all going to add up and it's going to take the same amount of time per block, 0.6 seconds, with a diamond pickaxe. So with that said, let's also talk about the other blocks in there, because it's not just all the ores. There's of course the gravel and the dirt. Gravel takes 0.15 seconds with a diamond shovel to mine, so that's going to take us 80.7 seconds. Again, really small time here. And then the 1536 dirt takes 0.1 seconds, which is just 153.6 seconds. Again, this is if you found it all in a row. We're going to assume that you can rapidly switch between shovel and pickaxe, but that means you can actually mine through all the other stuff in a chunk pretty fast. Within just 5-10 minutes, you could have all the non-stone mined. However, the thing about this is stone does tend up to make the most majority of a chunk, and there's 16,680 stone blocks, again, according to our calculations, per chunk, and if you times that by 0.3 seconds, which is what we're doing, then it actually takes 5,004 seconds to mine all of the stone in a chunk, which, if you're wondering what that is in minutes, that's just over an hour, I believe, coming close to 100 minutes. And after we add in all the other blocks of all the other types, it doesn't actually add too much, because we're only at 5,448.9 seconds per chunk. This is the theoretical fastest time you can do if you have diamond tools and a diamond shovel. You're rapidly switching between the two. You don't take any time to go back and re-enchant. You take no time to put stuff in chests, but still, it's a pretty good time, right? Just under 100 minutes. An hour, 40 minutes. It doesn't seem too bad to destroy an entire chunk, a 16 by 16 area. And if it does sound too bad, then it's going to get a lot worse. Don't worry, because yeah, that's our fastest time humanly possible for a single chunk. If you take no times for XP, which you technically need, because if you're mining 17,000 blocks and you're only getting 3 diamonds, you need to have Unbreaking 4 on the pickaxe and the shovel, and therefore you need to enchant it, which you couldn't do just based on the XP. So you need a lot of other stuff going on here, but let's just pass that all on for now. 1 hour, 40 minutes, 1 hour, 50 minutes actually per chunk, roughly, just under 2 hours, let's say. Let's now multiply that by how many chunks there is in a PC world, which is where this gets ludicrous and beyond the scale of human comprehension, because like I mentioned, a Minecraft PC world is 60 million blocks by 60 million blocks before you hit the barrier. So of all the blocks you can usably use, that means that if we just divide one axis off that, so let's just assume it's 16 by 60 million, that would still be 3.75 million chunks in a single direction. And because of the way squares work, we have to actually square that number, so we're squaring 3.75 million. So bear in mind that with just a A64 by A64 world, there was 2,916 chunks. Let's just say it's a little bit bigger when you square 3.75 million, because the number you actually get is this big number I have on screen right now. I'm worried I'm going to get this entirely wrong, but I think that's 14 trillion, 62 billion, 500 million is that right? Yeah, chunks per Minecraft PC world. There is 14 trillion chunks in the PC world, which even just that number alone, even if each chunk took a second to mine, you've got to bear in mind just how many seconds that would be taking, but each chunk doesn't take a single second to mine. Each chunk takes 5,448.9 seconds to mine. So, yeah, what we're going to do now is we now multiply this massive number by 5,448, so let's just multiply that right now. And what do you know? It takes you 76 quadrillion seconds to mine an entire Minecraft PC world. Assuming you're doing it as fast as you humanly can on each single individual chunk, and you have someone to help you on the XP, then that is what you can actually do. But, that's not really a usable number. 76 quadrillion seconds, although it's a lot, right? It's not really that much, is it? Well, let's turn that into minutes, because in minutes, that's 1.2 quadrillion minutes even. And even when we get it into hours, it's still talking like 212 trillion hours. So let's get this into the most reasonable measure, which I guess would be years. So actually, years isn't too measurable either, because in years, this is still 2 billion years, 429,366,438, which is admittedly, I want to say by most estimates, like somewhere within the span of how long our universe has been going. If you just go back to somewhere near the start of the universe, start destroying the Minecraft world, you'll be done somewhere about now. So that's pretty good, right? Okay, so then if we turn this into centuries, it's the biggest thing that Google lets you translate from, and we're still at 24,293,664 centuries. So that's how long it takes you to destroy an entire entire Minecraft PC world. Have you been doing it this entire time while you've been watching the video or beforehand? You're probably not ever going to finish. However, I wanted to know, well, more realistically, if you're going to do a challenge like this, you're not going to do it by yourself. You're going to set up a server, you're going to get people on this. So if we distribute this 2 billion years between the most number of people that have ever been on a Minecraft PC server that I've seen, which is 100,000, then if we can actually take that, then the number of years it would take if everyone's working at full pace, with no gaps at all, of course, because, you know, no time for sleep or not, it would take, you know, as a total project, 24,293.6 years. So, okay, I think you get the point right here. Basically, destroying an entire PC world is functionally impossible. I mean, even if you get the most players that are really dedicated and really excited, it's still just not going to happen, and the reason for that is just how vast a Minecraft world is. There's a lot of blocks in a Minecraft world, as it turns out, and destroying them all is going to take you quite some time. 24,293 years if you have 99,999 friends that are all willing to work 100% of the time, that is. And I don't know if you do have that many friends that are willing to... I guess you'd have to reproduce somewhere in there, because most humans don't live 24,000 years. You know what? Yeah, this is quite the long project. However, on the same scale as the last one, how many of you are going to go ahead and start attempting this now? Again, if there's still, you know, Minecraft and, I guess, the Earth around in 2 billion years, then that'd be quite some project to have completed, wouldn't it? Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. Like the video if you did like it, share it if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. Oh, but actually, quick note before we end it, is the background gameplay. You've noticed I've been flying the entire time in one direction, and the reason I did that is because even in this entire video where I've been flying non-stop at, you know, the full speed flying on the PC, you've got to bear in mind I only traveled 10,000 blocks in each direction diagonally, which means that even at the most optimal speed and the most optimal direction, which you can't do in survival, it would still take me more than 3,000 times the length of this video just to reach one of the edges of the world, let alone to even do anything with it, and that's just something to maybe dishearten you a little bit more. Anyway, I hope you did all enjoy today's video. Do all the things with the buttons, and goodbye.